On today's podcast, we have a very interesting conversation with Shane Tobin, Vice President of Partnerships at Sofar Sounds. We discuss the origins of the company, what they provide to artists, how they shine a light on the artists who perform at all of the Sofar Shows, how to get on their radar, how they select the acts to perform in various cities, how they choose the unique venues that the artists perform in, how artists are paid, and much, much more. This is one conversation you performers are definitely going to want to hear. Insiders, are you ready? Welcome to MUBUTV's Insider Podcast, where our mission is to educate, empower, and engage artists and music business professionals who are dedicated to having a successful career in the new music industry. Here are your hosts, Ritch, Esra, and Eric Knight. Welcome back, Insiders, to another episode of the MUBUTV Insider Podcast, where our mission is to educate, empower, and engage your music career. On today's episode, we're with Shane Tobin, Vice President of Partnerships at Sofar Sounds, a platform for showcasing your music in unique venues. We discuss what Sofar Sounds provides to artists, how they shine a light on the artists that perform at their shows, and how they choose the unique venues that you perform in. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Hey Insiders, are you looking to take your music career to the next level? Then you need to know about the Music Business Registry. The Music Business Registry is the leading music industry publisher of the most up-to-date contact information for major and independent record label A&R, music publishers, artist managers, music attorneys, music supervisors, and much, much more. The Music Business Registry is the trusted industry standard and source serving the music business community for over 28 years with the most accurate and up-to-date contact information available. Their titles include the A&R Registry, the Film and Television Music Monthly, the Music Publisher Registry, and the Music Attorney Registry. All of their publications are available in print, PDF, CSV, or online subscription. Visit them now at musicregistry.com and receive a 10% discount by using coupon code MUBUTV10 at checkout. That's musicregistry.com, coupon code MUBUTV10. When you're ready to put your music to work, musicregistry.com.
Welcome back, Insiders. Today's featured interview is with Shane Tobin, who's the Vice President of Partnerships at Sofar Sounds. This was one of the most interesting conversations because it's not often, Eric, that we come across a service that's a new and innovative service that really helps artists. And in this case, it's about providing unique, unused, perhaps in the past, venues to provide paying gigs for artists to perform in.
Yeah, I've been following Sofar now for a while as an independent artist myself and some of the stuff they do. And what I really loved is some of the locations that they've used are just simply stunning. And they typically go out and videotape these. And if you haven't checked out some of their videos on YouTube, you definitely should check those out.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things. You can get a video out of this.
Venue, yeah.
Yeah, in those venues. I mean, they do them in unique venues. Things like people's homes, hotels, rooftops, a lot of great kinds of things. And the videos that you talked about, I think, are a very, very, very interesting value added to the whole experience for artists.
Most definitely. And with that, Insiders, sit back, relax, and enjoy our featured conversation with Shane Tobin.
Shane, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Good to be here. Thanks, Rich.
Good to have you. Shane, when in your life did you know that the music business was going to be your professional career path?
It's a funny question. I did, after college, I actually worked down in Washington, D.C. for a congressman. I worked on his campaign, and then it led to going down to D.C. and working with him for a year. And I kind of just was, through that time thinking about, well, if I'm going to get low pay, long hours, I should do it for something I love. So I left and I moved out to LA in 97 and just kind of jumped right in to music. I actually had an internship with Mark Geiger when he was doing Artist Direct and have stayed in touch with him over the years, who's been a good mentor and friend. And then did an internship with A&M Records. And then finally ended up with a full-time job at Steve Moyer's company, Moyer Marie Entertainment, working for Bennett Kaufman and Tom Trumbo, who are managing record producers. So at that point, I was, all right, now I've got a full-time job. I'm in the industry, and it was a great starting off point, being able to connect with artist managers, with record producers, with mixers, engineers, the A&R teams, attorneys in the space. And there's a lot of people I met those years that I still stay in touch with or, see out at different events, especially now that we're back doing those kind of events again. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But, it was kind of like, you do a job and you realize maybe I should be doing something else. And that's kind of what happened for me. So, yeah, I'm thankful that I'm still doing it.
Shane, let me ask you, Sofar is such a great and innovative concept for artists and live performances. Can you tell our audience a little bit about it and how it came to be?
Sure. Yeah, the company is actually 13 years old. It was started by Rafe Offer, who is chairman of the board now, still involved on a day-to-day basis. And he went to a big concert with a bunch of friends to see an artist he was really passionate about. And it was, kind of your typical concert experience. People were talking, they were scrolling on their phones, and he just couldn't understand why people weren't, so focused on an artist that he loved so much. And so, the concept of house concerts wasn't anything new, but, he turned it into a format, and, people would come to his house. They had no idea who they were going to see. 3 artists would perform. He would introduce each of the artists, ask people to keep their phone in their pocket, and just say, hey, for this 20 minutes that you're going to see this artist perform, give them your full attention. And people love that. There's kind of like a wellness aspect to it for people in the audience to just not be on your phone. And then there was, for the artists, this opportunity to play in front of people who were predisposed to music discovery by the very fact that they had no idea who they were going to see when they came to Rafe's house that night. And so starting to do that over and over again, a lot of artists said, hey, how can I get involved? People who came to the show said, hey, I've got a space. I want to do this in my house or my place of business. And it kind of grew in a very grassroots manner from there. I joined in 2019, and I think at that time, the culture of Sofar was very strong. The community aspect, people coming to the shows, was something that people loved the experience. And the part that we felt like we could have a bigger impact on was, how do we create more value for artists? How do we make it easier for them to tour with Sofar? Like, open up new markets. Maybe you've kind of done a bunch of Sofars and you've built your fan base in your hometown, but how can I go outside of, where I've played a lot and develop those other markets the same way I did it, with Sofars in my hometown. And so we've been thinking a lot about that. How do we create more value for the artists who play our shows? We've had incredible artists throughout the years who have done shows with us, Billie Eilish, Yeba, Leon Bridges, and those performances are really special. But we kind of think about it through the lens of like, what if they did more with us? What if they didn't just do that one show? What if they did 10? Or what if they did 100 shows with us? And we have artists who have actually done that and kind of talk about how Sofar has truly helped them. So we want more of those stories. And so as we build out new features and kind of think about other things Sofar can be doing for artists, that's the lens that we look at through it. How do we bring more value to them?
Let me ask you then, how do you select the artists that get to perform at the Sofar shows? What's the process? Can you take us through that?
Yeah, we've got a great artist booking team, and they are responsible for kind of keeping their ears on the ground. And throughout the years, they've been there. Some of these people have been there quite a long time, so they really know the markets well. But there are other avenues too. I mean, the one great thing about Sofar Sounds is 75% of the people who work at our company are also musicians. So, it isn't just one way that they're coming. These new artists are coming to us. There's recommendations. There's this vast network of people who work at the company, and they may be doing jobs that aren't artist booking, who can say, hey, these guys are great. We should get them, to play us Sofar. So we certainly have a process, but at the same time, we want to keep it open so that we're finding out about new voices, new artists that would be great for our shows.
I've seen a lot of your videos from the Sofar shows on YouTube. Are all the performances filmed typically?
No, not all of them. I mean, we certainly have an amazing catalog of performances, and there was a time, I think, where they were filming a lot of shows. We, since we've been back from COVID, we've really focused on giving the space to the people in the show, so not having an extra production person in there or audio person. We'll get back to filming this year. And we want to be intentional about it too. We want to make sure that it's the right time for the artist as well. So there's so many artists who say, hey, I'd love to get a video, but you want to make sure it's like something they're going to be proud of at the end too. And it's a snapshot, the best possible snapshot of who they were at that time, so that, a year, 2 years, 3 years, they can come back and look at that and say, oh yeah, that's representative of who I am. And so we want to make sure that it's the right time for the artist. They're confident in their performances, and then, they can use it to hopefully create more awareness about who they are, open up new markets for them, and create some visibility through our YouTube channel and potentially other networks of distribution that we might look into. We started doing things on TikTok as well. So we're looking at, as many ways as possible that we can shine a light on those artists as we can.
Yeah, the reason why I asked is because they're so beautifully shot. I told you, before we started the interview, I've been a big fan of it, and they're just really great, wonderfully shot. So that's why I was curious if they're all typically shot or it depends, so.
Yeah, I mean, they are really well done, and they really capture what I think a lot of what it's like to be at a Sofar. But yeah, we've got great teams in a lot of different markets and all over the world. And I think that's, again, like what makes it so special, is that you kind of get to see artists from all over, many different genres that really make Sofar a special community.
Following up on that, you'd mentioned earlier that the idea of Sofar tours and people performing. Can artists perform in more than one Sofar show? I mean, can they do multiple shows? And if so, how does that work?
Yeah, so we actually have built out capabilities through an artist dashboard where they can log in and then they can say, hey, you know what, I'm going to be on the East Coast. Can you get me in Boston? Can you get me in New York, Philadelphia, DC? And we can put that routing together for them. So it's very simple and it's very easy for them to just go and give us the information, tell us when you're going to be there, and then our team will help figure it out and say, hey, we've got slots open during this time period. So, we want artists to be able to do more with us, and that's a great way for them to, develop those markets. A lot of times they're playing multiple shows in a city. We don't have any radius clauses against ourselves, and actually the nice thing about an artist that is doing a Sofar is that it's unannounced. So we have a lot of time where an artist might say, hey, I'm doing a show on Thursday night at Mercury Lounge or somewhere else. And, we like that. We want them to be able to use Sofar to help them to do more things and create more opportunities for them. So that's another way that they're kind of using Sofar to help bring more people to other shows they might be doing.
Shane, from watching your videos on YouTube, it looks like that you guys choose some really super unique venues to host your events at. Could you tell us how you guys find these unique locations?
Yeah, I mean, over the years, a lot of people, certainly on the commercial side, there's a lot of people that just said, hey, I want to show the community that I'm connected to them and I'm a huge music fan. So for a lot of hosts, at least on the commercial business side, it's a way for them to just raise their hand and say, hey, I'm here. I love music. I want you to come into my place of business when it's maybe not a Sofar show. And so there is that sense of community that they're looking to create that fits in nicely with what we're trying to do. I mean, our kind of one of the things that we talk about all the time is creating a space where music matters. And so that's kind of, a key part of it. Like, does this space feel right? Can we do a show in here? So we'll walk through those spaces and make sure it does fit. And certainly on the other side where, it's in people's homes, a lot of times it's just people who have come to a show and they said, hey, I'm a huge music fan. I've got the space to do this, whether it's a backyard or a rooftop or just a big room. And yeah, they open it up and they're just, they love that they can have all these people come in here, celebrate artists and music and do something that's unique. So Yeah, it comes from all different places, but we kind of focus on making sure it feels like a special place, and that it's not a music venue, it's not a traditional space. So we have to do a little bit of work to make it feel right for us so far. But yeah, I think that's one of the things that makes it special.
That's fantastic.
Are the artists that are chosen to perform at Sofar Shows, are they compensated, or how does that, and if they are, how does that work?
Yeah, so all artists are paid to perform at Sofar. The way it works is, so we, in the US, Canada, and UK, those are owned and operated shows from Sofar Sounds, from the business. And so we pay artists based on how many people are in the room, and they're going to get a minimum of $100 for their 20-minute set. If there's 71 to 100 people in the room, they can get 125, and if it's 101 and over, it's 150. And any artist can go and look on our website. We kind of mapped all this out so they can understand. But really, we wanted to make sure they had an understanding of, like, if I play a show, how much can I expect to make? And that's the payments that we make to artists are about 70% of the net revenue that is earned from those shows. So we take care of insurance for the room. We take care of putting on the show. We take care of public performance licensing, marketing the show, staffing it, sound engineer. So all of that are costs that we take in, and then we pay the artist the net of that.
Hey, Insiders, we hope that you've been enjoying our featured interview. Stay tuned because we've got so much more value coming your way. But before we dive back in, a word from our sponsor. Hey, Ritch, you're the founder, CEO, legend of Music Business Registry. Tell us what the Music Business Registry is all about.
Well, what it's about, Eric, is it's a company that is designed to provide the most accurate and up-to-date contact information for the music business. So if someone is looking to reach the A&R community, if someone is looking to reach music publishers, if someone needs to reach artist managers, if someone needs to reach music attorneys, if someone's looking to place their music into film and television and needs to reach all the music supervisors, that's the contact information that we provide. We've been doing it for 28 years. We're sort of the industry standard, if you will, for the music business, and have been serving them since 1992. So that's what we do.
Amazing. So if I wanted to find out, let's say A&R people from Warner Brothers, let's say, I can just go in there and find that in the A&R registry?
Absolutely. You'll find all of the Warner Brothers in there. You'll find the Warner Brothers in LA, Warner Brothers in New York, Warner Brothers in Nashville, Warner Brothers in London, Warner Brothers, probably in Australia as well. So those are the main territories that we cover.
Amazing. And we're offering all of our insiders right now that are listening, if you visit musicregistry.com and use coupon code MUBUTV10 at checkout, you'll get a 10% discount off your first order. That's musicregistry.com, coupon code MUBUTV10. Anything else you want to say, Rich?
Well, when you're ready to put your music to work, musicregistry.com.
Shane, can artists sell their own merch at Sofar events?
Absolutely. Yeah, we encourage artists to bring anything they'd like to sell. We encourage them to bring their email list. We want them to, to be able to earn money. We don't take any cut if they want to sell a T-shirt, if they want to sell vinyl, whatever they've got on hand. That's all money that goes directly into the artist's pocket. We're not standing in the middle of that. And as I said, we want them to grow and connect with the people that are getting to see them that evening. So we say, bring your email list, get people on there. We want them to feel like when they play us Sofar that they're building a community through the people that we're bringing to that show that night.
How do artists get on the radar of Sofar in order to play? Is it strictly through the system that you have? Is it through the website, or is it through contacts? How does that work?
Yeah, the easiest way is just to go through the website, apply, have a YouTube video that shows you in a live performance setting. We wanted to get a sense of what your show is like. And so having that kind of helps the artist bookers understand your vibe and, what you where you're at in your career. But it also comes from managers who, are working with developing artists. It can come from agents. It can come from friends. It can come from all different places. So, we try to keep the doors open as much as possible and get recommendations and hopefully slot those people in. But yeah, the easiest way is just going through the website and applying that way, just so you're in our system and we can, make sure that we're tracking it.
Okay. One other question. Because it's unique venues and a lot of them are homes, is there a specific style that you are looking for in terms of music? I mean, I can't imagine, a hard rock band playing in someone's home outdoors. That just, it wouldn't seem practical, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, so I'd say it's about 50-50 in terms of commercial spaces and residential spaces, and that's going back to pre-COVID.
Right.
We have just started to introduce or reintroduce doing residential shows this year. So, but we want all different genres of music represented at our shows, so that can mean hip hop, spoken word, jazz artists. I've seen everything at a Sofar, and I was at one 2 weeks ago in New York, and there was like a pop punk band that played. Now they did it a little bit differently than they would at the festival that they were going to be playing at that weekend, but the music came out great, and it was a good vibe. So it's just about it's not like, is this the right genre for a Sofar? It's how do you kind of take your style and kind of apply it to a stripped down setting. And so, yeah, we feel like the strength of Sofar and what makes it so special is that you can walk in and see all different genres of music. And, you might see someone playing a harp. You might see, three sisters from Ireland playing cello. I've seen that. You might see a full jazz setup at Rave's house. I've seen that. So, we're only as good as the diversity of our lineups and the unexpected. You want to have people walk in and see something that might be out of their comfort zone, but also kind of excites them. So that's really what makes the experience so special.
Okay.
Shane, are there any books or films that have really resonated with you professionally speaking that you could recommend to our audience?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I mean, I think for me, music documentaries are always exciting for me to watch, just to get the genesis story of an artist. I just watched the Bob Weir one that was on Netflix, and that's kind of fun because he's such a unique and quirky individual. But I love Ken Burns' jazz series as well, the history of jazz. I mean, I don't know if that's like anything that's foundational for artists. Watch this and you'll learn how it's done.
Well, everything is influential and inspirational. Yeah.
Absolutely. Everything's inspirational. Yeah, exactly. It could be movies. It could be documentaries. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any books?
Well, I am a deadhead, so I'm currently reading one of the Jerry Garcia's books, but, so that's been fun. But certainly Don Passman's book is, instructional. I think for artists, you can't discount how important it is to understand the business side of what we do. And that, I think it causes a lot of stress for artists too. One of the things that we've done is created a video series called In Session, where we'll have experts from the industry come on and kind of break down all different aspects of the industry. It might be, music royalties. It might be, how do you submit to ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC? How do you make sure you're collecting your money? We've had people on from Sound Exchange, but it also could be like health and wellness. We've had people come on from Turn Up for Recovery and talk about, hey, I need some help. I'm not dealing with things well right now. And I know your question was about movies and books, but it kind of I think about that because so many of the stories that we see, whether it's on film or you're reading about it, are the challenges in the industry. And so that's why, I think that any way we can help artists understand the business side can alleviate things that cause them stress down the road. How do we keep it a little, it's a complicated industry that we're in, but if we make it a little bit more accessible or understandable, then hopefully it causes less stress down the road for those artists who get popular very quickly and just don't know. Think about it. Most of the artists that we work with, what they focused on for the last 5 years is their songs. That's it. They just want to create great music. So they've had those 5 years, 10 years, however long they've spent on the creative process without thinking about the other side of it, which is the business side. So I always recommend Don Passman's book. I mean, it's kind of it's known well. It is the Bible, but it's worth the time to understand that, because that's the next phase. Like, okay, now I've got my music, but what happens next? Right. And so, I think a lot about that through the lens of how we can be helpful at Sofar to artists too. Like, can we do more to educate artists, make them feel comfortable, so that if they are successful and things really start to happen for them, that they at least have like a general understanding of like, these are the things I need to be thoughtful about.
Yeah, no, I think that's great, because that's one of our initiatives here at MUBUTV, and I think that's fantastic that you're doing that at Sofar, because, our approach is doing this holistic 360-degree, your financial health, your mental health, well-being, which is a big one. So it's really great that you guys are doing that.
What advice would you have for artists who are listening who really want to pursue a career as a recording artist in this day and age?
I kind of always said this, no matter what time it is, but focus on the things that you're passionate about in terms of like your music and your art. There are no guarantees in music. There's no guarantees in the art world, and that's one of the hardest things about what we do. And I think the only reason that we're still doing it is because we're so passionate about it, and you're almost so passionate about it you can't do anything else. But focus on the things that are your strengths, and I know it's like easy to get sucked into like I got to do TikTok, or I have to do Twitter, when that was big, and I have to do this and I have to do that. It's not a fit for everyone to do all of those things. Some people just they don't want to do it, and it's not right for them. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Focus on your fans, building that fan base that you have, what's right for you as an artist, and how do you grow the fans, that people that, really appreciate your art, because that's kind of, at the end of the day, like that's how, as an artist, you're going to be successful, is cultivating the fan base, making them feel a part of your journey, and how do you make it bigger? How do you add more people? And there's a lot of different ways to get there. If you watch all those music documentaries and you read all those books, none of them are the same. They're not all doing the same thing. Like what, worked well for Metallica was different than the Grateful Dead, which was different from, John Coltrane, which was, different from, My Morning Jacket. So everyone's got a different story on how they get there, but it's a long journey too. I mean, that's the other thing, is that, even the artists who have been successful very quickly, there's a whole bunch of other years on the other side of that. And so what's going to sustain you in your career, what's going to give you longevity? And it always comes back to the same thing, which is that core fan base. Like, how do you cultivate that, treat them with respect, and bring them along for the ride, because it's going to be a long ride if you're truly committed for the long run. So I'd say, be thoughtful about the things that you're really good at, and focus on that.
Shane, where can people best connect with you in Sofar Sounds?
Yeah, if they're looking to apply, they certainly go through the website. That's the best way for artists to engage and get on there. I'm on LinkedIn, so people can always hit me up there. That's probably the easiest way to connect with me directly. And I'm also on Twitter, just at Shane Tobin, so I'm on there too. I've had people reach out to me through that. So, yeah. But, certainly our website's sofarsounds.com, pretty easy to remember. And, yeah.
Shane, thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate it very much.
Yeah, great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric, this was a very interesting interview for a couple reasons. Number one, I was really excited to talk to this guy, because it's very exciting to me when we can bring our audience new and exciting opportunities to perform from services that didn't exist, 10 years ago.
Right.
And I love the way that Shane talked about the origins of this company. This was talked about and it's something that I've heard many people speak of before. When they go to shows, everybody's on their phone.
Right.
nobody's paying attention.
Right.
And it's like, this is like one of my mantras in life. What's the hardest thing to get today?
Attention.
People's attention, even when they are paying money
Right.
for a concert.
Hundreds of dollars, if
Exactly. And they're on their phone or they're holding the phone. It's like they can't be present.
Right.
And the whole genesis of this company was born out of that, providing a unique and special kind of venue,
Right.
unique venue that you normally wouldn't see an artist in. Homes, rooftops,
Right.
Places where artists can really be respected for what they're doing.
Yeah, leading into that segue about how they choose the unique venues where people are often calling them or letting them know we have this available or we have a home available. I think what I loved about this too, because I think originally I was turned on because I used to watch their videos on YouTube. And I think one of the things that I really loved about them was, they filmed all of these shows that they were doing, but they were just in really unique things. They were doing some of these in downtown LA. I mean, it's all over the country, but it was just very interesting, the unique areas where they were, recording these, and they just sounded and they looked gorgeous. So I thought that was really great.
Absolutely. They have such respect for talent, and they're able to bring something like you just spoke about with the videos and the sound. And the thing that I love about them is that these are venues that not only promote the shows, but also have a lot of respect for the artists and pay them.
Right.
This is not
They
something
get to keep their own merch.
Correct. Right. If they want to sell merch at the gig, they can do that. And there's no radius clause where if you do one of these shows, you can't perform within
50 or 100 miles of the venue.
Absolutely, for 90 days. That's a very important thing. So I'm really glad that we got a chance to talk with Shane, because it's always, I think, very exciting when you can bring these kinds of exciting services to our audience as an option that they can explore nationwide.
Hey Insiders, thanks so much for tuning into this episode. We really appreciate it. To get show notes, links, and everything that was mentioned during this interview, head on over to our official website at MUBUTV.com/podcast/show notes. If you're enjoying the content and what we're doing here on the show, please subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts from. And don't forget to rate and review our show over at iTunes. 5-star reviews are always welcome and help to ensure that our podcast stands out on the top-rated and new and noteworthy charts on iTunes in our space. You can also find us on social media at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all ending with the handle MUBUTV, which is spelled MUBUTV. Don't forget to catch our flagship show, the MUBUTV Insider Video Series, airing every week on YouTube at youtube.com/MUBUTV. This show was produced and created by Ritch, Esra, and Eric Knight. This show would not be here if it weren't for our amazing team, which are the following: interview editors Sarah Nissenbaum and Alex Taylor, show notes and transcriptions by Jani Chang, Nicole Capodoglo, Lilia Owens, and Sarah Nissenbaum, theme music by Disciples of Babylon, and be sure to tune in next week for another episode of the MUBUTV Insider Podcast.